Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Herring.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. Blu-ray, online, satellite, cable, over the air. If it's in HD, we like it. And apparently I'm in a fist-waving kind of day today.
Emphasis.
Emphasis. Okay, let's start with Serious Sam HD or don't use 3D while pregnant, tired, or drunk.
That's the one I'm interested in.
You're not.
What's the deal with 3D?
Lifetime player? One of my most profound images of you as a friend was like walking into your box. That crazy. He used to live in a
hole.
What do you, no.
A
what
gaming
do they call those
compound?
things where you go to hide? A bomb shelter at the bottom of a building in San Francisco.
That's true.
Serious Sam HD.
Oh yeah.
Steam optimized for HD. A lot of new features. $20.
Co-op.
When
if it still has co-op, there's a reason to play.
Apparently, there's new multiplayer modes. I don't know if they,
it was just the co-op, man. We can go back to back and get the hordes of creatures just rushing you and your friends.
Inglorious. I'm hoping it's 1080p, so that'll be fun.
It's a computer. They can do whatever they want.
So that thing we said before about don't use 3D while drunk, pregnant, or tired.
Who screwed this fun up?
That's a great title from the folks at HighDefDigest.com. But the advice actually comes from a list on Samsung's website. The not so amusingly titled Important Safety Information. Read the following warnings before you or your child use the 3D function. So, okay, it includes photosensitive seizure warnings, not only if you're epileptic, and this creepy line: children and teenagers may be more susceptible to health issues associated with viewing in 3D and should be closely supervised when viewing these images. How's that for a creepy quote?
It's pretty vague. It seems to cover quite a bit. It's your general warning to just, you know.
Well, I think there's some like pre-launch panic
bases.
Or early launch. Yeah, it's like we got to get everything out there in case somebody decides that, you know.
It could make you dizzy.
Well, you'd expect like the usual 3D illness. Remember the gaming?
Oh yeah, VR headsets from
oh my goodness,
from way long ago.
The only time I've ever nearly projectile vomited in an office was wearing the first time somebody demoed one of those with a video game and they didn't tell me what they were doing. But so beyond 3D motion sickness, sickness you might expect from 3D use could include altered vision, lightheadedness, dizziness, involuntary movements such as eye or muscle twitching, confusion, nausea, convulsions, cramps, that's a good one, and or disorientation.
You know what? These are similar warnings to what you get with any video game, pretty much. Right. And it includes all the 3D games. And I remember way back in the day, there are a lot of people who can become very motion sick from viewing a 3D video game, let alone, I think 3D movies are going to pretty much have that similar effect. If you're a little unstable and you don't want to feel like popping a Dramamine, maybe watching 3D TV isn't the thing to do.
Okay. So you're basically saying this is fun, relax, enjoy your 3D experience.
Somebody out there is going to write in and say, I got so sick the other night. Well, if I'm hungover, I'm not watching 3D TV, number one.
Some people get seasick on sailboats, some people don't.
There you go.
Okay.
I will admit, though, you want to make that screen as bright as possible or sit in a dark room with your 3D TV because that will give you a better viewing experience, and it might help with some of these issues, too. It's sitting in a very bright room where the TV is having trouble keeping up with that much light in the room and combating, fighting the light source and the screen being bright enough,
You also don't want to sit too close. They say three times three. You should be sitting 3 times the height of the screen away from the screen.
It's not as immersive as I would want, but
well,
okay.
You will be our test rabbit. What do they call the little bunny rabbits that they mutilate in the labs?
Lab rat.
Lab rat.
Yeah, there you go.
Rabbit.
So I will tape my eyes open and sit in front of a 3D TV for a couple days and see what happens.
Not Ludwig van.
I'll just watch the Masters games over and over and over, the 2 hours a day that they gave me. Then I recorded like a weird person I am. Anyway, Apple still hates Blu-ray, or so people are chiming in online after the surprise release of new MacBook Pro notebooks. There's no Blu-ray drive option.
Big shock.
Yeah, no big whoop there. There are ways around that, Apple people. You know what you're doing.
You could buy a drive. I mean, Apple's aging lineup of desktops don't offer Blu-ray drives either, so whatever.
Or you could just rip the disc and use certain tools. Anyway, there's a whole other story there. Anyway, that hasn't stopped the Blu-ray Disc Association, though, from unveiling a new 128 gigabyte format. So before you start thinking of box sets showing up on a single disc, BDXL, as it's called, is really more of a storage format. 128 gigabytes on a single write-once disk, 100 gigabytes on a rewritable disk, that's up from 50 gigs, and the new format's being really targeted at professional industries who need basically an express desire to find optical disc solutions that enable them to transition away from magnetic media for their archiving needs.
That's a quote from the Blu-ray Association.
That is a quote from the Blu-ray Association. It is for storage professionals, and they aren't looking at this for consumers, at least not yet. So don't hold your breath for
it'd only be
super
like
mega discs.
8 or 10 discs.
Storage discs.
8 or 10 discs, counting is hard, to back up a 1 terabyte drive, which is, you know, better than like 400
Just buy another drive. More drives for Daddy.
Yeah, they're talking about apparently it's going to be a 4-layer disc.
That's cool, and it will be not compatible with any current player that we have right now for consumer side. This is really for the storage professionals, you know, and they can create these custom discs. I'll be curious to see if anybody adopts this anytime soon. Because
well, it could be like one of those things that like everybody in the medical industry uses it. It's been adopted in the verticals.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Switching HDMI ports in a second. I like that thought because there's nothing worse than clicking HDMI and have it like searching. Samsung says they got some new technology they bought from Silicon Image or rented, whatever they did. Well, it's
licensed the technology.
Licensed.
QuickPort, I think it's called. No?
Well, yeah. Well, apparently it locks down the HDTP Association. So you plug the HDMI cable in, it locks down the HDTP Association. So because basically what happens when you change channels and your television is sitting there and
changing
searching.
Sources.
When you change sources.
Yeah,
sorry,
going from one
channels.
HDMI port to the other.
I guess technically Apple TV to Roku to Blu-ray player is not changing channels. It's
or it has to reassociate the keys to make everything secure, make that digital pathway secure. So when you switch on old TVs, like the one right behind us, like a year old, anyway, it would have to basically reestablish that handshake.
Which is what that few seconds you're waiting.
That can be annoying. So with this new tech from Silicon Image, they really have just made it instantaneous. They basically, like you said, maintain that association with the key, so you don't have to deal with this jumping through hoops kind of thing.
Starting at the high end, hopefully working its way down.
That should be in every TV soon. Yes. And also, I'd like having Silicon Image verify the HDMI ports on products too. They do have a verification service so that you have a better than average chance of it working with all your connected devices. Look for that when you shop. Trust me, it helps. Anyway, I'm not sure how we missed this, but Fox and Universal have made deals with Netflix similar to the Warner Brothers deal back in January. That means a 28-day delay on new rentals in exchange for A, having a deal, period, and B, more titles on streaming Netflix. Now, I'm pretty sure 24, Bones, and Being John Malkovich have already shown up.
Yeah, a bunch of titles are actually supposedly showing up. Similar deals being worked out with Redbox, the movie rental kiosk company also. Blockbuster, however, big bad Blockbuster has been working on deals so it can rent titles on the day they release and has already signed those kind of, basically, instead of a 28 delay, they're actually getting release on day of, and they've signed deals with Fox, Sony, and Warner Brothers. It's good to have the big stick.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Not that I'm excited, but Tombstone comes out on Blu-ray April 27th, and early reviews say the transfer is strong. One can only imagine what Armageddon will look like on Blu-ray. That's also released on the 27th. Because a lot of people are saying some of the big, you know, basically I'll say special effects CG heavy movies are not looking so hot when they get transferred because the clarity of the Blu-ray transfer, the high resolution allows you to see how fake some of the rendering is. So Armageddon's going to be a fun one to watch.
Might be good for 3D because you have to sit back further, and then it'd be harder to. Well, that's
I think it's coming out on 3D. Well, that's what people say. Especially on the first disc of the Lord of the Rings trilogies, they're basically saying it's like, wow, you can really see how fake the CG is, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Hobbits.
Potentially exciting news. New TV and other websites are claiming Google will open source the VP8 codec later this year, specifically to power HTML5 video to have an open source standard for video encoding on the web. Google purchased On2, a video compression company, back in February, which means they all owe the patents of that company, the patents to that codec, which is very different from MPEG 2 and 4, the H.264 codec stuff, which basically are administered by MPEG LA and require royalty payments to use.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, it's
a big deal.
Yeah.
It's nice to have an open standard. I mean, there are other open formats out there like OGG Vorbis, and there's one for video.
Theora.
Theora as well. And
well, that's funny because like the company that did VP8 actually open sourced VP3 to OGG back in, I want to say, 2001, 2002 or something like that.
A little bit of history back there.
There's a little bit of history. In an open letter to Google on FSF.org, the Free Software Foundation page, Holmes Wilson argued, well, I'll shorten it. I'll really shorten it. He basically said this would create a free and open standard for video on the web and a technically advanced one at that. The big rumor is that it will be released May 2010 at the Google I/O conference. Wonder if that's like something that would work for hardware also, because obviously like Apple and other companies are like, we only do H.264. And
depending on how it's licensed, it should be available for anybody to drop in as long as they're not going to manipulate the code, and they publicly disclose that yes, we're using this code in our product. There's a lot of Linux code running around in every TV you buy nowadays for anything from the menu systems to video playback functionality. They said, you know what, if we can do it for free, they like
Why
to
not
save
do it for free?
The manufacturers love saving money, and I'm hoping this will translate into software and experiences for the end user that cost less to do, especially for video delivery. That's one of the big problems right now with codecs is that some of the best ones cost money, and sure, you can always pirate crap, but...
And they may not cost you money, but they cost the people that make the hardware money or the people that make the video editing tools money, which means they cost you money too. You just pay for it in a secret way wrapped up with another product.
True.
That would be interesting. Can you imagine like a single open source video codec for everything?
I think there should be a version of that, as long as it's adopted by enough hardware.
Right.
So that the toys we play with and enjoy can be used the way we want without costing less, hopefully, and providing a better experience.
What if it's only open for like online streaming use and not for offline storage?
That would make me sad.
That would make us both sad.
I doubt that's going to happen.
HD Nation.